Hey everybody, it's Sarah,
And Tammy.
Yoga Wisdom and Wellness. This is your vlog and it's got this really heavy title, which is, I think we call it Death, Grief, and Yoga. So we're going to go there for the next few minutes. We want to leave you with some tips about dealing with grief through yoga. And we're inspired to write this vlog and do this taping because our eldest yoga student just left her body. You want to talk about her, Demi?
Yeah. Nita Hayes, such a wonderful woman. She was 91 when she passed. Yeah, 91. And practicing yoga right up into the end. And dedicated to yoga. And has been for a really long time. I started teaching a class that she was attending probably 8 or 9 years ago. And she was a dedicated yogi, was there all the time, encouraged others to be there, called people when they weren't in class.
Yeah.
She was just really a leader in the class and so dedicated herself. And when I started teaching yoga, I was also studying Ayurveda, and I introduced that to my students, and Nita took to that. She connected to that so deeply.
Yeah.
And started the practices, and the lemon water in the morning was one of her standards. She talked about that a lot. She oiled her body.
Yeah.
She had beautiful skin.
Yeah.
So,
And pranayama too, Demi. I distinctly remember 2 years ago, Nita had to go to the hospital with pneumonia. And when I spoke with her on the phone the next morning after she barely made it through the night, she said, they were doing breathing treatments on me all night long, and I never would have gotten through if it wasn't for my yoga breathing. I mean, here's a woman that was using these tools of yoga and Ayurveda every day to make her life better. What a blessing. And Nita was the kind of gal that when she came into the room, you knew it. She's just a strong presence, really full of light, a lot of prana. She's the most prana-filled 92-year-old that I knew. And I also think, just to use some more language from these yoga and Ayurveda that we love so well, a lot of tejas. She'd been through a lot in her life. She'd honored the struggles in her life and always landed on her feet and just built her radiance. Just a really radiant woman. So we just really honor Nita. And her husband, Ben, passed in about, is it just 6 months later?
Yeah, but in March.
In March. And she, lucky Nita, on her way out to the mailbox with her neighbor, big stroke, taken to the hospice care center, cared for lovingly, kept comfortable, and left her body with dignity and peace the same way she'd lived her life. So, yeah. So it brings to mind this whole idea about death. And one of the things you and I have been having some fun with is what we call it when somebody dies. So you. Tell me what you like, because you have more experience. If those of you don't know yet, Demi lost her beloved, her husband, almost 16 years ago. So Demi has a lot more personal experience with losing a loved one than I have. And what do you like to call it? Get it being lost? Did we lose Tom 16 years ago?
No, Tom's not lost. No. And it's evolved. Over time, I've used different terms to describe it. Lost never felt right to me.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, I used died because at that point in my life, that's what I felt, that he was dead. And I think I wanted to say it that way so that I could accept it. It was more of a way to really grasp the concept that he was no longer here. But as I've evolved in my spirituality with my yoga and meditation practice, I've really come to evolve the way I describe where my husband is or what happened to my husband. And I no longer or rarely use the word death or died. I used passed away for a while, but that doesn't feel right either, because it just kind of feels like it was passed away somewhere else. And so now I'm using the word past.
Yeah.
And it just feels more like what happened. When Tom left his body, which is another one that I use occasionally, I was with him. And his body was there. And I felt his soul lift and go off.
Yeah.
And pass to wherever it is right now. And And sometimes I feel him around me, and I have over the years, and sometimes I don't. So I don't think he's passed away, because sometimes he's not away. Sometimes he's close by.
Yeah.
So he's passed to another realm.
Yeah.
That might be.
He left his body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this brings forward this idea of one of the kleshas, which Patanjali calls out in the Yoga Sutra. And one of those 5 afflictions is abhinivesha, which is this fear of death, which is broadly interpreted as a fear of impermanence. And you mentioned the evolution of your spiritual practice, this idea that our bodies are housing for our spirit, for our soul. And when the body is done, the soul passes, it leaves the body, but the soul itself is not extinguished by death. And I think when we remember this, then abhinivesha is not one of our afflictions. We're not afraid of death. And I know that hospice has helped so many people feel less afraid of death. And as a result, that particular affliction that, again, in the yogic understanding is a biggie. If you can be aware that you're afraid of death and engage that fear, you can lose one of those great sources of suffering. And I think this is one of the things hospice does so magnificently.
They do. Hospice was involved with our situation when Tom was ill, and after he passed, it had helped my sons, my boys, and I really get through it all. And Tom as well. You know, they really, I think their influence really helped him to get beyond that fear.
Yeah.
And by the time he passed, he was what's the word? Not content, but accepting of the fact that he was going elsewhere and he was not fearful.
Yeah, wow, what a blessing. What a blessing. Yeah. We'll spend more time on this subject another time, but we want to finish this vlog with some practical tips for people who are listening who experience grief. And Demi, I know you're the one to speak to this. You know, having lost your beloved, as well as your father. And you and I have lost dear friends as well. Lost, I'm using it. Having Tom gone, having Tom pass and no longer be physically with you, you've experienced a lot of grief. And because your dosha, let's bring in Ayurveda, your dosha is kapha dosha, it's likely for your constitution, your elemental nature, it's likely for you to hold on to that grief. And that darkness and inertia could get pretty big for you. Can you speak to that and give some tips to our listeners?
Yeah, one of the things that really helped me from the very beginning, while Tom was sick as well, is exercise, movement, getting out and into nature particularly, and really breathing hard and getting my heart rate up and really burning out some of that inertia and letting go of some of the concern and stress and motion and all the stuff that's going on. That was big. Community is another huge thing. Yeah. My community rallied around us, just rallied, and continue to rally.
Right.
Support me. You know, people, 16 years later, people are still aware that February is the month, and they call me, and they send me notes and send me cards, and so it's a community is amazingly helpful to me and to everybody. And my yoga and meditation practice has been really key. Yeah. You know, I was doing a lot of yoga during that time.
A lot of yoga asana.
Right, yoga asana. Yeah. But I was not meditating, and I hadn't started meditating until probably, 5 or 6 or 7 years later. And that has really helped me because it allows me to go inward to that place in my inner heart that is not hurt by this.
Yeah, where the fear is not.
Right.
Yeah, where the eye of the storm. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So get out, get moving, get into Mother Nature. Don't isolate, allow your community to support and embrace you. And do your practice of both moving your body. And remember that the movement of the body through the yoga asana is designed to get us ready to sit still and use the breath to move in our mind and deep into our hearts to that place of stillness where there are no afflictions, where we can get a relief from the grief. It's Great tips. Awesome. We will do more on this topic. I know it's a touchy one, but I also know that every time I turn around, my students, my friends, and I know this is true for everybody listening, grief is a fact of our life. We're always in the process of grieving something. It could be that our nest is emptying. It could be that our health is changing. And it could very well be that a loved one is departing, is leaving their body. So we'll do more with this because at Yoga Wisdom and Wellness, we make yoga and Ayurveda practical so that you have everyday practices to thrive and live your best life. So we promise to revisit this. In the meantime, thanks for sharing, Demi. I know this is a tender subject, and I send you blessings and love.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste.